I think that if you hadn't sold a house in a year, you don't need to be a real estate agent. If you hadn't sold 6 houses in a year, you don't need to be a real estate agent.
Like, there are things that we can do to make it better for the consumer. It's not about commission.
I'm not searching through septic fields in my stilettos. And it is that persona that has really skewed the consumer's view of us. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of Glennda's Guru. My name is Glennda Baker, and I am a real estate agent here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am so excited to have somebody who I have long admired in the real estate industry. And she really is a trailblazer, and I cannot believe I have the opportunity to have her all to myself today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kayla Laos. Lord, Kayla Laos. So, Kayla, welcome.
Oh, hi, Glennda. Thank you for having me. It's an honor, and thanks for those kind words.
Well, I am excited that you're here. Do you remember how we first met?
I do. So we first met, I believe, because I was searching for the top realtor in your market in Atlanta. We were working with Gary Vaynerchuk's sports organization, and I caught some episodes, early episodes of your talks from the Porsche. And so we were like, this lady is amazing. And so I think that that's how we first got connected, is we had a referral for your market.
Yeah, that you're exactly right. I can't believe you remember that. But I got to tell you, we then reconnected. I saw you at a Tom Ferry conference with your, I guess it was a newer company then, Zoodealio. I'm pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, you are.
Awesome sauce. And how's that? I know a little bit about the background, but tell me, like, how did you decide to get into that, and how's it going? Like what are you seeing?
Yeah, so it kind of a little bit of a journey to where we are today, and I'll give the quick backstory. So I've been a real estate broker for almost 2 decades in the Phoenix market, and personally sold a couple thousand homes. I grew a brokerage. I've mentored hundreds of agents, helped them build successful businesses. And kind of what we saw happening was this shift. And what we saw is consumers were kind of going towards convenience and certainty, and they started accepting these iBuyer offers. Remember when the iBuyer offers first came into our markets in about 2014? And so what we did is we said, oh my goodness, like, realtors need a way to compete. And so what we did is we empowered them with their own mechanism for bringing cash offers to sellers, where sellers can compare multiple cash offers. So if you have a home seller that's interested in accepting an iBuyer offer, why only look at one? You should be looking at multiple of them. And most of the time, what we know is that listing on the open market is the best way for the seller to go. And so it also provides the realtor that mechanism to display, hey, here's your cash offer, but here's what you can sell for on the open market. And many times it's tens of thousands of dollars more. So it's going really well. We launched Zoodealio in 2020. We are now in 47 states across the US, and we're fulfilling tens of thousands of cash offers every month for homeowners. So it has been just such a wonderful journey. So thanks for asking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what a lot of people don't really realize, if they're not following you on Instagram, they absolutely should be, because I love the videos that you put out. You are a master at really identifying and targeting an issue and unpacking it for people in terms that they probably understand much better than a vague and ambiguous news article or a soundbite. You really take these headlines and the issues that we see in the real estate market and dissect them for the everyday person, not just the everyday real estate agent, but the everyday buyer, seller, investor. And to me, that is what really attracts me to, and it's real talk. It's direct, real talk. And that's what attracts me to your videos and keeps me coming back for more. How did you kind of start that that kind of forum or platform to put out information, and why do you do it?
Wow, so that's such a compliment coming from you because I watch your videos and they're so great. They're amazing, they're entertaining, and I always think, wow, if I could just be a little bit more like that. I feel like my content skews a little dry. And how we started is, I was making content just like you've been making content for years. In fact, went through this phase where we had a daily vlog and vlogged every day and did that for about 2 years. So having the camera on me was something that was just easy. I was used to it. And what I really wanted to do is show the side of me that is the biggest real estate nerd ever, because this is my life, right? And so I have just a passion for real estate. I say I bleed little houses. And so I really wanted to bring that out and share that side of me that I think that anyone who's worked with me knows and loves about me. And so what we did is we just started a podcast where we would just talk and we would talk about the things going on. And so I get a lot of content from my podcast just by clipping up those moments where maybe I'm digesting something or unpacking something. And then I also, I do the headlines, so I'll do the green screen with the article behind me. Those perform really well on social. Maybe the performance is waning a little, but if you have a good article and you can really digest it in an easy to understand manner, it's going to perform really well. So that's kind of been my shtick lately with content creation, and allows me to get a lot of content out without having to do a lot of work for it.
Wow, I love that. So, how long is each episode of your podcast?
It's anywhere from 25 to 40 minutes. We just kind of it's pretty unstructured, really. We'll have a couple topics we're going to talk about, and then it's just me and the co-founders of Zoodealio. So there are four of us, and we just chop it up. So whatever's going on, we talk about. Many times we end up talking about what we love most, and that's what we're doing with Zoodealio. So we talk a lot about Zoodealio, but it's really great because it gives anyone who is considering working with us or wants to know what we're all about. It gives them this really I think transparent view into like who we are, how we think, etc. And so it's been really wonderful. I would highly encourage. I know that the podcasting space is oversaturated, but I think for a lot of realtors that are out there and they're thinking that it's oversaturated, I shouldn't do it. I think that's absolutely the wrong way to look at this. Like, you have to do it. It's the future. And now more than ever, with everything that's going on with the commission lawsuits, I think that personal branding is going to be so paramount. So I really highly encourage anyone that's out there thinking, I want to start creating content and I don't know how. Maybe they don't have a lot of time to do it. The podcast is a wonderful mechanism to not only get that long form content, but you can chop it up and get that short form content too. And you don't have to put a whole lot of work into it because it's just you talking about what you already know and what you already love.
You know what? You are so, so, so right. What I love about you is you have the artist. You love beautiful things. Your brand is very beautiful. You're great at marketing, but you are an analytical through and through. And as an IC myself, and only 9% of the US population is an expressive analytical, I will tell you, to me, it's the best of both worlds because it's the person who has the ability to see the big picture, but has the ability to build it with small pieces. And I think that you have done that like nobody's business. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Now,
Oh, well, thanks, Glenda. I'm just like, wow, look at you're so kind. Thank you.
well, it's so true. You know me. I'm nothing if not brutally honest. And when I find, especially another woman who possesses this, this, it's not only a power, but a knowledge to move our industry forward. I really want to have the opportunity to highlight that person. And before we went on, we started talking a little bit about, and you made a comment that absolutely makes my head spin around and snot fly out of my nose. If you look at the faces of the real estate leadership, it doesn't look like me and you. But if you look at all of the people doing business in the real estate industry, that is absolutely me and you. And it's so interesting to me because and I don't know if you're seeing it. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for saying this, but I don't know if you're seeing it. But and used to it was like the good old boys club, and that was who ran the real estate industry. I don't care what state you were in. I don't care what level you were at. That there was this good old boys network. And we started to kind of see like a little bit of shift through that, where you saw women kind of rising up through the real estate industry here and there. And then all of a sudden, about 3 years ago, there started this bro culture. And it is alive and well. And I have never seen um, to me, it feels stronger than the good old boys club. I mean, I'm in the South, for God's sake, but this bro culture has literally just taken over. And I see kind of these little sects in our industry. Is it just me, or do you see that as a pervasive kind of identity of our industry?
Absolutely, absolutely. And, it's because we were kind of pre-gaming a moment before the podcast started, and, we talked about, kind of what I see happening, maybe what you're seeing happening. And even, even that when we see the women in the industry, it's almost like they're hand selected by a man. It's like, you have to almost be that approved person by the bro culture to be out there. And, and hey, I work with, I work with a lot of wonderful, wonderful men, and, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what we know is that the majority of the people out there selling real estate are females, and they skew a little older. And I use the air quotes on that because I don't consider us old. It's kind of a joke when, you're in your mid 40s and 50s and people think you're old, but regardless, absolutely see that bro culture. And we're kind of seeing some of that come to light and be exposed. And so I think that that's cool. It's cool to see people be held accountable for creating that toxicity and that sort of culture. But for sure, and, here's the thing, like, especially with social media, people now more than ever can flex for the gram. They can show their cool cars and show all the money that they're making, and, brag about, how many people they have in their downline or whatever. And we see a lot of that. And I for one, am somewhat repulsed by that. I want to see what makes us really shine in real estate, and I believe that's our heart, that's our caring, and that's that level of tenacity that we show up with day in and day out. I watched one of your Porsche talks last week, and you were talking about how you lost a listing, and you were talking about the waiting period, or forget what you termed it, between when they canceled with you and relisted with someone else. And the reality is like, we get knocked down continually, and we have to pick ourselves back up. It is not easy, and to just be somewhat marginalized for what we do in the real estate industry, I think is pretty sad. But they're conversations that are definitely worth having, and I'm glad we're talking about it.
Well, you said something just 1 second ago, and I nearly passed straight out when you said it. And you said the women that are being selected, this hand selection, or approved. And you're right. You're 1000% right. You hit the nail on the head. And it is people who are going to, play nicely in the sandbox, the people who are willing to go along to get that FaceTime. And, what I have found is maybe I'm not so good in the sandbox because and it was so funny because I had kind of called someone out um, in a video, and they very quickly, rebutted that, that my beef was because I hadn't been selected. I hadn't been chosen. And They were exactly right. My beef with them was 1000% because you weren't looking for the best person for that role. You were looking for the person who was willing to be the face of that role and be controlled by you and your board, your all male board. And they knew that that was not me. And so it's very interesting to me that I've never really even it never even dawned on me that that was the selection process, and that I wasn't, and that I didn't get picked. Here I am thinking, oh, they didn't pick me because I'm old. But really it's not only that. And it's funny because there are brokerages, and the face of their brokerage is not me and you. The face of their brokerage is this very bro culture, this very slick, you know, suit wearing guy. And I think that men real estate agents are amazing. This is not like a dig at men. I'm not a man hater. God knows I'm not a man hater. but
Me neither. Me neither.
but I think that you really kind of bring to light a lot of things that just aren't talked about, and they're not talked about because you're if you say anything about it, you're old and bitter, and you didn't get picked, and that's the only reason that you're chapped, and all this stuff, and it has absolutely zero to do with that. I really want to see, like, the true face of our industry, the people that are out there in the weeds every single day, getting rejected for the listing, getting terminated from the listing, losing the buyer, losing the multiple offer situation, and the people who are winning. I want to see those people. I'm not searching through septic fields in my stilettos. And it is that persona that has really skewed the consumer's view of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that. I'm not going through septic fields in my stilettos. That was a great soundbite. That was good, Glenda. But
It's the
you're,
truth, you know?
oh, absolutely. And I think that, no doubt all of these, the Bravo shows, the Selling Sunset, all of that, just really glamorizing what we do. And don't get me wrong, there are some just amazing things that we do get to do, but it definitely comes with a healthy dose of resilience, and you are getting your ass kicked day in and day out. And, you're having to pick yourself back up. And I think that the mental load we carry in real estate is heavy, especially I think as for me, especially, my heart, tons of empathy for anyone that I'm working with, any of my clients, any of our Zoodealio members. And I think that mental load is so underestimated. We carry so much. It's so heavy. And the things that we do for our clients, we'll do things for clients that no other person would ever do. I mean, I can remember when I was really mentoring a lot of agents, and I would see the things that these agents were doing for buyers and sellers. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like, you're going so above and beyond. It's just incredible the things that agents will do for their clients. And, you're right. It's not being represented, and we are being, somewhat passed over for the look or whatever it is. And I think you said it, that the person that they feel like that they can have some agency over gets put and placed in those key roles, which, it's not going to serve the industry. And we can already see where it's leading. And I, for one, with the whole NAR settlement and the lawsuits, I feel like there's just been a massive leadership fail, massive. And I believe that if there were more people like us in those rooms, we would have better outcomes for the industry.
Oh, my stars and stripes, 1000%. I saw a podcast the other day, a snippet on my Instagram from a podcast, and someone was interviewing the past NAR president that is in the midst of all these sexual harassment lawsuits, and interviewing this person as, a thought leader, as an industry leader. And I mean, this is like the other day. This was like a fresh podcast. This is not, I mean, this
Wow.
is within the last 3 weeks since we've had this settlement. And they're interviewing this person as though they are an icon or an idol of our industry, when this person has multiple lawsuits of sexual harassment under their belt, under their watch, and you're actually putting this person out there as somebody we should listen to. And I'm like, am I in some alternate universe that's okay? Like that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's like this person kind of fell from grace, and yet we're still holding them up on a pedestal. It's really indicative of kind of what we experience. It really is. And so, and I kind of I'm curious because with everything that's changing, one of the things that I was really excited to kind of talk with you about is to kind of get your thoughts on what do you think it's going to take for agents to truly pivot and be really successful in the coming years with changes happening?
That's a great question. And I will tell you, I have been on many listing appointments since the NAR settlement was announced, and our industry is changing faster than ever before. And I think that if you are going to be successful in real estate from today moving forward, you have got to provide clarity and certainty to the client. And there has to be this level of transparency that there hasn't been for many, many, many years. Here in Atlanta, I remember when the person who was kind of our NAR representative came back from Washington or Chicago and talked about this clear cooperation policy, and talked about that you had to put it in the MLS in a certain number of days, and you had to do this and you had to do that. And I remember asking her and saying to her, wait a minute, the seller, the owner of the property, should have the final say on where their home is, how long it's in coming soon, how it is marketed, where it is put. How in the world can you police this or enforce something like this when the seller may want something completely and totally different? And I remember her response to me was, this is the way we're going to do it. Funny enough, our MLS is not a part of NAR. Our MLS here in Atlanta, sit down, grasp tightly. They charge 0.12% of the sales price on every transaction on both sides. So I'm the listing agent. I sold a $500,000 house. You were the buyer's representative. I paid $600 to the MLS and you paid $600 to the MLS. It cost each of us $1,200, each of us $600 to sell that house. And so when they talked about removing the commission out of the MLS, our MLS says, well, we're not a part of NAR. We don't have to do that. But yet when I questioned, wait a minute, the seller doesn't want it done like this. I was told this is the way NAR does it. This is how we're going to do it. And it's very interesting to me that the powers that be make up the rules as they go along to whatever fits them and their monetary goals the most. And that is why consumers look at us, the real estate agents, the one on the front line, and think that we are scoundrels because everybody is talking out of both sides of their mouth. And so what we are doing, and what I honestly believe to my heart and my core, is that the more transparency, the more certainty, the more clarity that you can provide your client, the better off you're going to be and they're going to be. And to me, that is the new wave of real estate.
Mm. So many things that you just shared. The fee that you pay to sell homes in your MLS is insane. for one. Wow, that's like shocking.
Yeah.
But I also I love what you said. I mean, one of the reasons we created Zoodealio was to bring transparency, certainty, convenience to the home selling process and have it be, eyes wide open exactly what the fees are when you consider taking these different cash offers. So, firm believer in that. But something that I think is not talked about often here in Arizona, if I wanted to go get my cosmetology license, it would take me 1,600 hours. I can go get my real estate license in 90 hours. And so all of this kind of consumer, the used car salesmen, the things that they attribute to realtors, I think has to do with the low barrier of entry. Anybody can get into selling real estate. I mean, we have a joke in our market. It's one of the most saturated markets of realtors. It's like you can throw a rock and you'll hit a realtor, and maybe it'll bounce off and hit another realtor because they're just everywhere. And I think that the low barrier of entry it's like, why aren't we talking about that? Like, why aren't we doing anything to raise that? And I get it. It's because the more dues paying members they have, the more money they make. They don't want the barrier of entry to increase, which is really sad. And when we talk about people's many times their largest financial transaction, and we have people that are handling that for sellers and buyers that just came out of a 90-hour course that have no training, no education. I mean, we definitely could do things to instill some more broker supervision, or maybe they work under a mentor for the first 12, 24 transactions. Like, there are things that we can do to make it better for the consumer. It's not about commission. If it was about commission, people wouldn't be selling their homes to iBuyers, which they still are. And I get it, it's a fewer percentage, but they still are. If you look up selling your home, what you're going to see on Google, the autofill, the proverbial autofill is sell my home fast, sell my house for cash, sell my house to open door, sell my house to Zillow. Zillow hasn't even been buying houses for years, yet consumers are still going on there and they're looking for fast and easy and convenient. It's not about money always. And so I think that this whole commission lawsuit has just been a load of crap. We're really not addressing I believe, the true problem, and that's the really low barrier of entry. So
You're right.
little rant there, but
But it's the truth. You're right. It's not only the low barrier to entry, but it's also the low barrier to stay in it. So as long as you can pay your renewal fee, you can stay in it. And I mean, I don't know about you, but the agent that does this once a year, once every 3 years, now and then, their proficiency on how to do it is very low. They don't know what they're doing. Do you want to get on a flight with the pilot who goes up and down and up and who takes off and lands over and over? Or do you want the guy who does it once a year? I want the guy who takes off and lands all of the time, every day. That's the one I'm looking for. That's the real estate agent you should be looking for. I did a transaction, and this real estate agent, she was a friend of the family. And the buyer, I'm the listing agent, and the buyer buys the house. And in this contract, there's about, there's a $7,000 hot tub, and there's about $30,000 in media room equipment. And the offer that she makes is very close to the list price. But yet she doesn't put in the contract that any of that stays. Nothing. And so I talked to my seller and I said, look, I guarantee you this buyer thinks that all of this stuff is coming with it. And my seller goes, but Glennda, it's not in the contract. I said, I understand it's not in the contract. But the bottom line is you want to sell your house. They want to buy your house. I don't want you to blow the deal up because they didn't include this. I want you to negotiate the deal as if this stuff were in there. If they never ask for it, praise the Lord and pass the money. But if they ask for it, at least you've prepared yourself. We get to the inspection and I'm at the house. The agent is not there for the inspection. The buyer comes with his dad, and the dad has realized that nothing is included in this offer. Nothing. Not the refrigerator, not the media room equipment, nothing. And he says, I think that we need to do something. We need to put something in here about all of this stuff stays. And I said, well, you do realize that the real estate agent didn't put that in there. And the father looks
Mm.
at me and he goes, I know that. She also didn't turn in the earnest money. She handed it to me at closing.
Oh my.
She never turned in the earnest money. Never, never, not one time. Didn't turn. And this was before we required verification of the earnest money deposit. This was back, and I mean, we even required termite letters back then. And this woman did nothing. And that is what consumers don't understand, is that the bar to entry is low, and the bar to stay in it is even lower.
Mm.
And I think that we should have minimum production requirements. I think that if you hadn't sold a house in a year, you don't need to be a real estate agent. If you hadn't sold 6 houses in a year, you don't need to be a real estate agent, for God's sake. Refer that business. So, I knew when I had the opportunity to get you on this, I said to myself, she truly is the meaning of a guru, because you have a depth of knowledge about the real estate industry that is rarely matched. And I cannot believe that I had the opportunity to have you all to myself for just a little bit today.
Well, thank you, Glenda. I feel the same about you, and you're definitely an inspiration to me and so many others in our industry and outside of our industry. So it's been an honor. Thank you.
You know what? So before I say anything else, tell everybody, where can they find you? The name of your podcast. Give us all of the 411 about you.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram. It's my name, Kayla Laos, Kala Laos. And you can find our podcast, The Real Estate Rundown, on YouTube or on any of your podcasting, whatever you stream your podcasts on. And it's on our Zoodealio YouTube page as well.
So when am I going to see you? Where are you going to be next?
Let's see. I will likely be at Inman in Austin. Will you be there?
No, I'm not going to be at Inman in Austin, but I'll be in Inman in Vegas. I'll be with
Okay.
Tom Ferry in Dallas. Any of those, am I going to see you?
I will be at Tom Ferry in Dallas as well.
Well, I cannot wait to see you and hug your neck and just thank you appropriately for being here with me. And if there was one thing that you would tell the person who just got their license today, one thing that you wish you knew the day that you walked in the door to real estate, what would that be?
I would say prospect like your life depended on it, and don't expect results for 9 to 12 months. So it's going to be scary. You're going to go through the valley of despair. You're going to want to quit. You're going to second guess yourself, but stay with it. Especially now, you have such an advantage because the industry is shifting. Nobody likes change but a wet baby. And if you can just prospect your little tail off, and I'm talking mad prospecting, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, as many as you can, and you can do that for 9 to 12 months, you will become the number one agent in your market, probably within 12 to 18 months.
Wow, that was a great piece of advice. And if there was one thing that you could change today, if you could snap your fingers and change it today about our industry, what would it be?
Ooh, that is a loaded question. Only one thing. If I could snap I would raise the barrier of entry and the barrier to maintain a license.
I love it. I love it. You know what? I'm honored that you were here. People say that time is your most valuable asset. It's not only time, it's time and attention. And not only to have your time, but to have your attention. I feel so honored. So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I admire you, and you are such an inspiration to me. And I am so glad that so many years ago we had the opportunity to cross paths. So thank you, Kayla. It has been a pleasure having you here. Ladies and gentlemen, this was an amazing episode of Glenda's Guru. If you are not watching, if you are not subscribed to the Glennda Gazette, you definitely need to do that because that's the only place that you can find the Glenda's Guru. And today it was an amazing day. As I always say, my name is Glennda Baker. I'm a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. Send me a text, tag me in a post, give me a call. That's what I love the most because I'd love the opportunity to talk real estate with you today. See ya.